Evelyn, a 72-year-old woman living alone, felt trapped by the clutter filling her once cozy home. Piles of papers, unused trinkets, and forgotten items drained her energy daily. She longed for a peaceful, inviting space, but didn't know where to begin. Many seniors face this same challenge, feeling overwhelmed by the task of clearing out. Clutter doesn't just fill rooms, it weighs on the mind. Let's explore simple, effective ways to reclaim energy and restore joy to your home. 1. Identifying hidden clutter. Any seniors live in homes filled with memories, but over time, those cherished items can blend with unnecessary clutter. This was Evelyn's reality. She often felt drained, but she didn't realize the source of her fatigue wasn't just physical. It was the piles of untouched objects surrounding her. One morning, she glanced at the corner of her living room. Stacks of old magazines, unopened mail, and a box of holiday decorations she hadn't used in years sat collecting dust. She realized she no longer noticed these items, but they still weighed on her. She thought, how did this even happen? The first step to tackling hidden clutter is simply noticing it. Set aside 10 minutes with a notebook or phone. Walk around your home, room by room, and write down areas you've stopped paying attention to, like that drawer full of takeout menus or the cabinet stuffed with mismatched containers. This exercise helps bring the invisible into focus. As Evelyn began listing her own clutter zones, she felt relief. At least I know what's there now, she said. The simple act of identifying the problem gave her a small sense of control. Taking this step is like clearing the fog. It opens the door to transformation. 2. Letting go of sentimental attachments. For Evelyn, letting go of sentimental items was the hardest part. Her late husband's toolbox, though unused for years, sat untouched in the garage. It reminded her of their shared projects, the laughter they shared while fixing things. She worried that letting it go would feel like erasing those memories. This fear is common. Sentimental clutter often represents more than objects. It holds emotions, nostalgia, and even a sense of identity. But as Evelyn learned, memories live in your heart, not in things. One day, Evelyn decided to keep one meaningful item from the toolbox, her husband's favorite wrench. She displayed it on a small shelf, turning it into a tribute rather than a hidden collection. She donated the rest to a community center, knowing it would help others. If you're struggling with sentimental clutter, focus on what truly matters. Choose 1 or 2 items that hold the strongest connection to your memories and display them proudly. For the rest, consider passing them on to someone who will appreciate them. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space for the life you're living now. 3. Facing digital clutter. Evelyn thought clutter was only physical, but one day, her grandson mentioned how slow her phone was. When he opened it, she was shocked to see thousands of unread emails, blurry photos she didn't even remember taking, and apps she never used. Digital clutter, he explained, is just as draining as physical mess. It steals time and focus. She decided to tackle her inbox first. Starting with the oldest emails, she deleted irrelevant messages and flagged important ones. Then, she set a simple goal. Spend 10 minutes each evening clearing a few emails and unsubscribing from unnecessary newsletters. Over time, her inbox became manageable, and the sense of accomplishment was energizing. For photos, Evelyn created a favorites folder, saving only her best moments. She deleted duplicates and blurry shots, enjoying a trip down memory lane as she worked. To prevent future clutter, she learned to regularly back up her photos to an external drive. If digital clutter feels overwhelming, start small. Dedicate 10 minutes to one task, whether it's deleting old emails, cleaning up your desktop, or uninstalling apps you don't use. Each step creates space, not just on your devices, but in your mind too. As Evelyn put it, "My phone feels lighter, and so do I." Small changes like these help seniors reclaim focus and simplify daily life, paving the way for deeper transformations in the next steps. 4. Starting small to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Evelyn stared at the cluttered shelves in her living room, feeling paralyzed. Where do I even begin? She thought. The idea of sorting through every room felt impossible, and she feared she'd never make progress. This sense of overwhelm often keeps people stuck, unsure of how to take the first step. One day, Evelyn's neighbor suggested a simple approach. Start small. Don't tackle the whole house, her neighbor said. Pick one shelf, one drawer, or even one corner. Evelyn decided to begin with the drawer by her bedside, which was overflowing with old receipts, loose batteries, and mismatched pens. She set a timer for 15 minutes and focused only on that one drawer. By the time the timer buzzed, she was surprised to see the difference. The small victory gave her the confidence to move to another area the next day. The key to starting small is breaking tasks into bite-sized chunks. Focus on one drawer, one section of a shelf, or one cabinet. Use a timer to keep the task manageable, and don't aim for perfection. Just progress. Small steps, taken consistently, build momentum and make a big task feel achievable. Evelyn found that starting small not only made the work easier, but also gave her a sense of control. Each little area she cleared brought her closer to creating a calm, welcoming home. 5. Creating a system to stay organized. After clearing her bedside drawer, Evelyn realized she needed a better way to sort her belongings. The clutter seemed endless, and she feared it would pile up again if she didn't have a plan. Many people face this challenge, decluttering one space, only to find it cluttered again a few weeks later. To prevent this, Evelyn created a simple system: keep, donate, discard. She placed 3 boxes in her living room and used them as she worked. Items she used regularly went into the keep box, while things she no longer needed but were in good condition went into the donate box. Anything broken or unusable went into the discard box. This method made decision-making much easier. She didn't have to overthink each item. She simply placed it in one of the 3 categories. By the end of the week, Evelyn had 2 bags ready for donation and a clear space where clutter once sat. If you're feeling unsure about how to organize your decluttering process, try the Keep, Donate, Discard system. Use labeled boxes or bags to make sorting quick and straightforward. Commit to revisiting these categories regularly to maintain order and prevent clutter from returning. Evelyn's system gave her clarity and peace of mind. She felt lighter knowing her belongings were organized, and the physical space in her home reflected the mental clarity she was beginning to feel. 6. Consistency through the power of 5. Evelyn loved the progress she was making, but she knew she couldn't spend hours decluttering every day. She needed a way to maintain her momentum without exhausting herself. That's when her daughter suggested the power of 5 strategy. Remove 5 items every day, no more, no less. This small, consistent action didn't feel overwhelming, and it allowed Evelyn to continue making progress at her own pace. Each morning, she walked through her home and chose 5 items to let go of, whether it was an old coffee mug, a worn-out scarf, or outdated paperwork. The beauty of the power of 5 is its simplicity. It's easy to remember, takes only a few minutes, and ensures you're constantly moving forward. By focusing on just 5 items a day, the task feels manageable and even enjoyable. After a few weeks, Evelyn was amazed at how much space she had cleared. The pile of unused belongings in her attic was shrinking, and her home felt lighter. Most importantly, the daily habit kept her from feeling stuck or overwhelmed. The power of 5 is a gentle but effective way to maintain consistency. It's not about rushing or doing it all at once. It's about steady, sustainable progress. For Evelyn, this strategy became a daily ritual she looked forward to, reminding her that change happens one small step at a time. 7. Acknowledging guilt and fear of letting go. Evelyn often found herself holding on to items because of guilt. Her late husband's belongings, gifts from friends, and even things she hadn't used in years felt impossible to part with. What if I regret it later? She wondered. For many seniors, letting go of items tied to loved ones or significant moments can feel like losing a part of themselves. One day, Evelyn picked up an old sweater her husband used to wear when gardening. It was worn and no longer fit anyone in the family, but she couldn't bring herself to part with it. She realized she wasn't holding on to the sweater for practical reasons. It was the memory of her husband's joyful afternoons in the garden that she feared losing. To overcome this fear, Evelyn tried a new approach. Instead of keeping everything, she chose one or two meaningful items to preserve. She decided to frame a photo of her husband wearing the sweater and let the actual garment go. By focusing on preserving memories instead of objects, she felt lighter and more at peace. If you're struggling with similar guilt, remind yourself that memories live in your heart, not in things. Choose a special way to honor those memories, like creating a scrapbook, framing a photo, or keeping a single keepsake. Letting go doesn't erase the past. It creates space for the present. Evelyn found that releasing these items didn't diminish her connection to her husband. Instead, it allowed her to focus on the joy they shared, rather than being weighed down by physical reminders. 8. Inviting others to help. Evelyn didn't realize how much of her emotional weight she was carrying alone until her daughter visited one weekend. As they sat in the living room, Evelyn shared her struggles with letting go of certain items. Her daughter listened and gently suggested they go through some of the clutter together. Having a trusted person to help made all the difference. Evelyn and her daughter laughed as they rediscovered old photo albums, shared stories about long-forgotten items, and even found creative ways to repurpose things. The process felt less like a chore and more like a bonding experience. If decluttering feels overwhelming, consider asking for help from a family member, friend, or even a local volunteer. Sometimes, having someone by your side can make decisions easier and provide emotional support when you need it most. Evelyn's daughter also brought a fresh perspective. She encouraged Evelyn to donate items she no longer needed, reminding her how much joy they could bring to others. Together, they packed several boxes for donation, and Evelyn felt a sense of pride knowing her belongings would find new purpose. With help, decluttering becomes more manageable and even enjoyable. Evelyn realized she didn't have to face the process alone, and sharing it with someone else brought unexpected joy and connection. 9. Celebrating small victories. After weeks of steady progress, Evelyn noticed something surprising. Her mood had improved. Each area she cleared felt like a weight lifted off her shoulders. She began to feel proud of her accomplishments, no matter how small they seemed. One day, she treated herself to a cup of her favorite tea and sat in her newly cleared living room. For the first time in years, she felt at ease in her space. This feels like home again, she thought. Celebrating small victories is crucial in maintaining motivation. After clearing out a drawer, a closet, or even a single box, take a moment to acknowledge your progress. Reward yourself with something simple, like a relaxing break, a favorite snack, or a phone call to a loved one to share your success. Evelyn also kept a journal of her decluttering journey. She wrote down each area she cleared and how it made her feel. Seeing her progress on paper gave her a sense of accomplishment and reminded her of how far she'd come. Taking time to celebrate progress reinforces positive feelings and keeps you moving forward. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to a home that feels peaceful and energizing. For Evelyn, These small victories were the foundation of a larger transformation, giving her the confidence to continue her journey. 10th, building new habits to maintain progress. Evelyn had made significant strides in clearing out her home, but she worried about slipping back into old habits. The thought of clutter building up again left her uneasy. What if I undo all my hard work? She wondered. Maintaining a clutter-free home felt like a daunting task, but she realized that small, consistent habits could make all the difference. She decided to start with a simple nightly routine. Before going to bed, Evelyn spent just 10 minutes tidying up, putting away books, folding the throw blanket on her couch, and clearing her kitchen counter. This small effort helped her wake up to a fresh, inviting space every morning. To keep her momentum, Evelyn also made a weekly habit of reviewing one area of her home, like her desk or a shelf in the pantry. By addressing small sections regularly, she prevented clutter from piling up again. The key to maintaining progress is consistency. Create a nightly reset routine to tidy up small areas and commit to a weekly check-in to ensure clutter doesn't creep back. These habits don't have to be time-consuming. Just a few minutes a day can make a big difference. Evelyn felt more in control of her home and her time. Knowing she had systems in place gave her peace of mind and made her progress feel sustainable. 11. Simplifying storage to stay organized. As Evelyn decluttered, she realized that part of her clutter problem came from poor storage solutions. She had items scattered throughout her home with no designated place, which made it easy for things to pile up. I need to make my storage work for me, she thought. With her daughter's help, Evelyn reorganized her kitchen cabinets. They used clear containers for dry goods and labeled them to make everything easy to find. In her closet, Evelyn used bins to group seasonal clothing and shoes, which freed up space for her everyday items. She also tackled her junk drawer by adding small dividers to keep everything organized. By creating specific spaces for her belongings, she found it easier to stay tidy. If you're struggling with cluttered storage, focus on creating systems that are simple and accessible. Use clear containers for visibility, label shelves and bins, and group similar items together. Avoid overcomplicating your setup. Choose solutions that make sense for your daily needs. Evelyn loved how her home felt after these changes. She no longer wasted time searching for things, and the organized spaces gave her a sense of calm. Simplifying storage wasn't just practical. It made her home more functional and enjoyable. 12th, letting go of perfectionism. Evelyn often found herself holding back during her decluttering process. What if this doesn't look perfect? She thought, as she arranged items on a shelf. Her perfectionism sometimes slowed her progress, making her feel frustrated when things didn't turn out exactly as she envisioned. One day, her neighbor shared some advice that resonated deeply. Your home doesn't need to look like a magazine, she said. It just needs to feel good to you. This reminder helped Evelyn shift her mindset. Instead of striving for perfection, she focused on creating a space that felt peaceful and functional. She stopped comparing her home to others and gave herself permission to make mistakes. If one system didn't work, she adjusted it without judgment. This approach made the process feel less stressful and more rewarding. Letting go of perfectionism is essential for making progress. Focus on what feels right for you instead of trying to achieve an idealized version of a perfect home. Remember, your goal is to create a space that supports your well-being, not to impress others. Evelyn found freedom in embracing imperfection. Her home became a reflection of her personality and needs, and she felt proud of the space she had created. By letting go of the need for everything to be just right, she opened the door to true contentment. 13. Embracing the energy shift. As Evelyn sat in her newly cleared living room, she couldn't help but notice how much lighter everything felt. Not just the room, but her entire being. The clutter that once weighed her down was gone, and she felt a renewed sense of energy and purpose. It was like her home had taken a deep breath along with her. Clutter has a way of draining energy without us even realizing it. It occupies mental space, distracts us, and creates a sense of unease. Evelyn learned that by removing the unnecessary, she could focus on what truly mattered, whether that was enjoying a quiet cup of tea, reading her favorite book, or inviting her daughter over for lunch without feeling embarrassed about the mess. To embrace this shift, start paying attention to how you feel in your decluttered spaces. Notice the calm and clarity that come from having fewer distractions around you. Take a moment to reflect on how far you've come, even if the journey isn't finished yet. For Evelyn, the energy shift wasn't just about having a clean home, it was about rediscovering what made her happy. The space she created allowed her to focus on the simple joys of daily life, and that transformation was worth every step she took. 14. Rediscovering joy in spaces. With her home decluttered, Evelyn found herself rediscovering parts of her house that she hadn't fully appreciated in years. One afternoon, she walked into the spare room she had cleared out and realized it was the perfect spot for a cozy reading nook. She added a comfortable chair, a lamp, and a small shelf for her favorite books. What was once a room filled with forgotten items became a space she genuinely loved spending time in. It was a reminder that decluttering isn't just about removing things. It's about uncovering potential and making your home work for you. Think about areas in your home that could be transformed. Maybe it's a corner for crafting, a table for puzzles, or a spot near a window where you can sit and enjoy the sunlight. Reimagine these spaces with activities you love in mind. Evelyn's reading nook became her favorite place in the house. She realized that her home wasn't just a collection of rooms, it was a reflection of her personality and passions. By clearing out the clutter, she made space for joy and creativity. 15. Paying it forward. As Evelyn packed up her final box of donations, she felt a sense of pride knowing her items would go on to help others. The clothes she no longer wore, the extra kitchen gadgets, and the books she had already read would all find new homes where they could be appreciated. Donating her belongings wasn't just about decluttering. It was about giving back. She dropped off her items at a local charity, where she learned that many families and individuals in need would benefit from her contributions. It made her feel connected to her community and gave her a sense of purpose. If you're nearing the end of your decluttering journey, consider how your unused items could make a difference for others. Research local charities, shelters, or community centers that accept donations. Knowing your belongings will be put to good use can make the process of letting go even more rewarding. Evelyn discovered that paying it forward was one of the most fulfilling parts of her journey. It wasn't just about creating a clutter-free home. It was about creating a ripple effect of positivity. She realized that her efforts didn't just benefit her, they benefited the people around her too. Evelyn's home had become a sanctuary, and her journey reminded her of the power of small, consistent steps. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. By taking control of her space, she took control of her energy, her mindset, and her life. Evelyn's home became her sanctuary, a space filled with peace, purpose, and joy. Her journey of small steps and heartfelt decisions transformed not just her home, but her outlook on life. Now it's your turn. Start with one drawer, one shelf, or one corner. Embrace the journey and reclaim your energy. You've got this.